Well, thank you everyone for joining us and Happy New Year 2021. So everyone's full of optimism and there are a lot of exciting things. I can already feel the increased momentum. I'm sure everyone else feels the same way with a lot of things moving ahead. So all positive. Let's see, so everyone has the agenda and we will, would someone like to make a motion to bring the meeting to order? Alan? You've been our official.
I'll move we bring the meeting to order.
Okay, but I think you need to read the pursuant to Governor Baker's.
Hold on, let me get the agenda up. Okay. Oh, this is familiar. So, pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Westborough Economic Development Committee will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the public and/or parties with a right and/or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Westborough's website at www.town.westborough.ma.us. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting may do so in the following manner: via Westborough TV on all of their broadcast and streaming channels. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time by technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on the Town of Westborough's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting.
Thank you. Okay. So the first item on our agenda is the vote to approve the minutes from December 8th. And Kristen, thank you for preparing them and distributing them to everyone. Did anyone have any comments that they weren't able to get to, Kristen? Okay, if not, then we can go ahead and vote. Do I have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the minutes of our December meeting as presented.
Okay.
Second.
Sullivan, yes. I think we have to run through, don't we?
Steinberg, yes.
Edinburgh, yes.
Alexander, yes.
Townsend, yes.
Leonardo, yes.
Robbins, yes.
Williams, yes.
We may have, Derek, did you say yes? Yeah. Okay. All right, great. So moved. I also, I think, Kim, did you want to make a nomination? We were nominating to, at the last meeting, we discussed the position of the vice chairman of the EDC.
Bonnie, I'm sorry, were you asking me? I'm not a member.
I was, yes. When we talked the other day, you said that you were going to make.
No, I'm not a member of the committee. You just need a member to nominate someone to serve as vice chair.
Okay. All right. So I would like to nominate Todd Alexander to serve as vice chair of the EDC. Todd has gladly, with a big smile, accepted this nomination. So do we need to vote to approve? Okay.
So Edinburgh seconds.
Leonardo, yes. Steinberg, yes.
Edinburgh, yes.
Williams, yes.
Townsend, yes.
Okay. Is that everyone? Well, thank you very much. Congratulations, Todd.
Congratulations, Todd. Good luck.
Yeah.
Much.
Yeah. Okay. We also have the introduction of a new member today, Scott Rayleigh from Interplast. Scott is not able to join us until 4 p.m. So we're going to, we'll formally introduce him when he joins us in about 20 minutes, I guess. Kim introduced him to the committee and to the town and the Board of Selectmen chose him. I had the opportunity to have a long call with him. I think it was yesterday or in the last couple of days, and was really impressed with his enthusiasm. He will definitely bring a new perspective, and I encouraged him to not hesitate to introduce new ideas and question as we do things, because we're always open to new ideas. So we'll have a chance to meet him. So as a result of his having a conflict, we're going to shuffle things a little bit, and we're going to have the discussion on the EDC's mission and goals a little bit later in the meeting, so he can participate in that. But now maybe, Kim, do you want to give the update on the EDC coordinator position?
Sure. So we did post the position in December. We've received quite a few applications. We've started to review those so we can begin to identify folks that we would like to interview. You may recall Todd volunteered to be part of the first round of interviews. Then Bonnie will participate in the second round as representatives from the committee. We're hoping that we would maybe be looking to start the process sometime next week. The posting is listed, open until filled, which basically allows us, I would encourage anyone to continue to share the posting if you're aware of anyone who may be interested or parties who could pass it along, because we are still accepting applications and would consider applications received until we start the process.
Right. Good. I think that's exciting that the timing is fantastic with so many new things coming along. We're very fortunate to be working closely with the Westborough TV, and I see that Karen Henderson is with us now. We had a committee meeting earlier in the week with Linda and Todd and I. And Linda, I don't know if you want to give a quick update, and but Karen will can give us a more thorough update. I don't want to, Linda is kind of our chair of the subcommittee, so.
The only update I would give is just that Westborough TV has been, every time we meet, and we meet frequently, they've made huge progress, and this is moving forward beautifully and very quickly. So looking forward to getting feedback for what Karen presented today. We took a look at it. It's really coming along great.
Thanks, Linda. So Karen, if you want to go ahead, that would be fantastic.
Sure. So not to take too much of the time of the full committee, I did send around the document a little while ago. Feel free to take a look at that. If you have any opinions or input, we would love those. So, at any time you could either call and talk to me about it or just shoot me an email so that we can incorporate that. But basically, we had gone over with you a month ago, kind of the overview storyboard of what we plan on doing. We took it to the next level with actual shot lists. So for each of those whys, the answer to why Westborough, we took each of those and said, all right, what are some of the shots that we can get that will help convey those things? And some of them are easier done by a video shot, and some of them are easier answered by someone who maybe will interview, maybe we'll have some voiceovers. We might use graphics. So we kind of did that second level. So you can look through it. I don't think it's necessary for me to necessarily read through all of them. Maybe Bonnie, would you want me to kind of quickly just talk that through, or do you not want to spend the time doing that?
Well, maybe quickly. I think you can do it pretty quickly, because our hope is that everyone gives it a little bit of a thought, because we want to be sure we reflect everything that others may have while it's in this development stage.
Sure. So just to quickly go through, and again, these aren't in any order yet. We'll kind of have to see what order we want to put things in, either based on what are the main points we want to make to our businesses that are potentially coming to Westborough, or kind of the flow of the video. But for being accessible and at the crossroads, we talked about for a shot list, we're going to have a drone shot over 495 and Route 9. We talked about having kind of a map graphic that would show Westborough and show the different, whether it's airport this way, airport that way, show the crossroads on a map. Just you can kind of start to picture it, signs of whether it's Route 9 or 495 or the Mass Pike. So just kind of getting a few of those quick signs. Again, kind of remembering that we can convey a lot in just a couple of second shots. So we end up pulling together a lot of 2 and 3 second shots for a video like this. Maybe the train.
I was just going to jump in real quickly. We believe that the representatives from the town probably have a good handle on some of these things. I know, Jim, from in the past when we did the marketing slicks, you were able to identify pieces that gave a perspective of the map, and I'm sure each of you have are familiar with some of these various documents. So if you can point us in the right direction on those, that would be helpful.
Yeah, sorry I missed your last meeting. I'm still trying to get back up to speed. I'll be happy, Karen, and anybody else, Linda, and of course Bonnie, to jump back in now. So I'll read the document that you sent. I know I saw it came a couple hours ago or an hour ago. I'll take a look at that and get in touch with you as soon as I can.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. I mean, and anybody, if you look through it or you had, any random thought is fine. Whether it's like, oh, you could do this, if it's creative, or it's, oh, where you should get a shot. And to Bonnie's point, we will probably reach out to various individuals who we think, oh, they might have something specific to help us with this, whether it's a stat or a particular graphic, some of the numbers we might need. So we might come to you, you might have to point us somewhere else, but as we start to pull those together, we won't just make up the numbers. We'll be coming to some of you for those. So again, we might have like the train station, the ground shot of the train coming in. We certainly don't want to be over the parking lot right about now with a drone shot, and we are going to try to mix up those shots. We don't do all drone shots or all ground shots. Just have a mix for that artistic touch. Something with via, and again, probably having a narrator or someone being interviewed talking about it. So you might have someone who starts out saying, it's a great thing about Westborough being at the crossroads of the Commonwealth. And while they're talking, we go to those other shots, typical stuff that you've seen. Oops, I clicked away from my document. That was not what I wanted to do. Historic downtown, again, ground shots of plazas, some drone shots of some of these corporate headquarters, historic downtown and the business park. So we want to kind of show that contrast, and that we have both of those. A shot of town hall, it's got that kind of rich old New England feel to it. Again, we talked about getting a couple of shots down a neighborhood street where you can show some of those old homes, just to kind of give a feel of that historic New England town, and at the same time get some shots over. And again, we'll do it not over some completed buildings like Estellas with their completed campus versus a couple of shots we have where there's construction being done. I think that's a good thing for people to see too. It's like we're continuing to make progress and bring new places in and build. We want to show some of those plazas, some of the mid-sized buildings, some of the retail, so people are aware of that. I'm going to keep going. Business-friendly local municipality, and again, showing some of the emphasis on the green community with some solar panel shots. We're going to need some stats here. Maybe we'll end up making Fred, be in one of the shots doing something, with a client where they're looking at maps or papers or something, that gives you that feel. Every once in a while, we'll use stock footage. So we can bring in just some stock footage. We really want to try to do as much of it ourselves as we can, because when you're watching, sometimes you can tell when a video just switches to generic stock footage and you've got actors in there. I think that we really want to keep a nice, genuine feel while keeping that quality high. But some of the things where we need people interacting or groups of people, it's just hard to get that right about now with the pandemic. So we might end up going to a little bit of stock footage here or there where we don't think we can get what we need ourselves. But we would kind of queue that up and be very specific with what we're recording. You don't have to. We are going to want you to act, Fred.
I've done it before. Karen, one thing I might suggest, and it may be too late, I don't know. Amazon's building is actually an outstanding place because all the steel's up and they've actually started to skin. So it's kind of once all the skin is on the outside, you really won't see the skeleton of the building.
Okay. No, I can definitely get Jeff out there. If he hasn't already, he had just, when we talked last week, was talking about getting over there just because we're trying to get the progress as they move along. So I'll get him over there with the drone for sure.
Yeah, and that's a ginormous building, so.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, great. Thanks for the tip there. And kind of along those lines, again, where you guys might think, oh, you know what? I was at this building and there's a neat shot, like, or the, even the, foyer where you go into the building or the vestibule or the entrance, if there are things you've been at that you think that would make for a good film, just as you're happening to notice some of that, let us know.
Yeah. I'll throw another one out there. And
Great.
You can ask our new member, Scott. Interplast Dana Films, they're actually doing a edition now, a vertical edition, and they have new equipment coming in. That would be awesome too. I don't know how much they want somebody to look on the inside of their building, but if they did, because they're in the middle of construction of that too.
That's great. All right, excellent.
Yeah, he'll be on in a while, so you can certainly ask him that.
Yeah, great. Okay.
Also, I've seen artists' renderings of what the lobby for the Olympus building is supposed to look like, which is pretty impressive, with a welcome center and like a glass wall into a mock operating room that highlights all their medical equipment. I don't know. I've heard that they're trying to be open late January, early February. Fred probably knows more about that than anyone, but if that lobby is built out and in place, that could be a pretty cool visual.
All right, great. Well, in that regard, even if we were to get some of the artist renderings, or we could go from the artist rendering into them building it or something, because again, that just shows we're making it happen. We're bringing companies in, they're doing new things, the vibrancy.
I can send you a link. It's on the architect's website.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks, Alan. All those little, those things that kind of, one of the things we talked about as a team in the subcommittee is one of the neat things about the last EDC meeting, or the last celebration breakfast, was how vibrant Westborough felt. When we were at that meeting and all those companies and we did those videos, and it just, you couldn't help but feel it leaving that meeting, that the town is making things happen and we've got this vibrant business community, and it feels good, felt really good. And of course, the pandemic has not felt so good, and it's hard to have things kind of feel vibrant. So we got to try to do that with our video and capture that feeling, even though it's a little more difficult to capture that. But that is a lot of what we want to get across to people, I think, is that feeling of vibrancy. I keep coming back to that. Okay.
One other thought on that was is on the town's website with the permitting, that I think, Fred, that might be something that there may be a way to show what we've done there and also, I don't know if you mentioned yet the weekly meeting that the departments have that provides easy access to decision-making.
Right, we said it in this book, it's in this section. I didn't mention it out loud, but yeah. Okay. So maybe showing something from that, yeah. Because again, some things you can show by video. Some things you don't have to say because the video's showing it. Other things you've just got to say because you can't demonstrate it by video. Yeah. So
it might even be someone like Chris Egan talking about how what a positive working relationship he has with the department heads.
Right.
The real estate firm behind the Amazon project might also be good to interview, because they really did use the one-stop shop to figure out how to build within the site plan review rather than a special permit.
That's actually a really good point. And
how many hundreds of thousands of dollars did they save by avoiding a special permit?
Right, and that's a really good point, and that actually segues to Chris Egan, because they have a relationship other than on that site, not at that site. That's at Nitic Management that you're
Yeah.
talking.
Okay. Yeah, and we worked with them a little bit last year, right, Bonnie? I think
Yeah.
that's who we worked with. Okay, that's great. This is all really good info. That's why for you guys to, again, try to think about it a little bit as you're going along, have this in the back of your mind, and as things come up in your day-to-day work to say, oh, you know what? And just feel free to shoot me an email on it, even if it's like I can explain it later, but I don't want to forget to tell you to talk to this person or, what they can bring in. That'd be great.
In the previous section, Karen, just
Yeah.
looking at your outline, I think we need to work in something about the town being progressive or forward thinking, and that's where we would add something about the master plan. I mean, I could talk about that if we do an interview or something. We talk about the town's intentions for the future, that we're taking that on right now. We're in the middle of it, so.
Okay, so I love that. You want that in that third bullet about our municipality?
Let me just look at it again, 1 second. I think it goes in maybe under maybe either under 2 or 3.
Okay. Yeah, and I mean, another thing we have to decide as we're, excuse me, pulling it together, we know we kind of have these buckets, and then the question becomes how much of the video states that, do we put that on the screen, like strong network of business organizations, does that text show up on the screen and then we talk about it, or do we just kind of segue from one section to another, and how that feels as you go through. So that's stuff we can decide later, but especially where we have things that don't necessarily fit just in one place. Mm-hmm. We might bring them up more than once in a different way. Okay, I like that though on that town's master plan. The next one we had was kind of the strong network of business organizations and showing that kind of cooperative work with all of those government resources and business organization networks. So this is where we were talking about kind of the shots of a big room of people, the corporate networking, chamber events. That stuff is hard to get right now. We might take some from the EDC event from last January, maybe getting an interview with one of the people that heads up that organization, maybe Jason, maybe Karen Chapman. And maybe this is where we bring the Lieutenant Governor in to talk about how Westborough is kind of she has a lot of nice things to say about us every year when she comes out. We were joking on our subcommittee call. I think she just says it about us. She says that everywhere she goes because she really seems to be impressed by the people she works with here and what we're doing. So to have her in there stating that and talking about how we're collaborative and how important we are in the region and in Massachusetts is going to be a really nice thing for us. And they're willing to do that. I don't know who was on that email, but Bonnie had been in touch with Lieutenant Governor Polito's people, and they're willing to send us a video of her. So we're going to prompt her with some topics that we'd like her to touch on, probably referencing a couple of the things she's already said about us at previous EDC meetings. Easily attract and retain high quality workforce. Again, we're going to that's somewhat tied to the desirable location. We might have a couple of shots of colleges here or there, just talking about that we've got this this pool of employees. Talking about different types of housing that's here. So if you are going to bring in people to work at your company, we've got these. Whether it's we'll go to houses, we'll go to condos. Show a little bit of both of those. And again, maybe getting a business owner or two to talk about. I know when Yoshi was here from Estellas last year and we were interviewing him, he was just so excited to come here, and his employees were excited, and they were going to be hiring a lot of people. So, maybe to get somebody talking about how that's gone for them, hopefully good, and getting some comments from him there. Talking about the fact that we do have 4 employees when they're here, great retail, restaurants, hotels and services. I think it's really important that they know about that blend. So again, we'll try to, when we go to some of the, there's certainly some places that the whole plaza is a little bit more attractive than others, but we can get some good artistic shots even in the winter where we can grab a few shots here or there that just make you feel good, you know, makes it feel vibrant, shows you some of that variety. One thing that's really nice, I know I've mentioned it, but we have been collecting shots as we've gone along. So some of these we already have. So some of the drone shots that we got during the spring last year, we got some during the summer, we got some beautiful shots during the fall. So one thing that's nice is we have, with this knowing that maybe we'd be doing something like this, we've been trying to get some, and kind of in the same bullet, thinking about a lot of the shots around town of that blend of stores and corporations and all. One thing we did was we put out, I know I had sent it around to you guys, but that kind of shop local Westborough video that we did maybe in November, at the end of November, I think it was. We're about to release another one of those. So we've gone out for a new group of companies, small businesses, and we've gotten a similar type of, you know, commercial, if you will, but with a different group of people. Again, we're not trying to highlight any one business. We're really just trying to push the concept of let's help these small businesses stay in business. So that's kind of exciting. And again, we've done that with the idea of some of those shots that are beautiful shots we'll be able to pull into this video. So it just helps us in terms of the efficiency of putting it all together. Trying to see if there's anything in that one to speak on. I think so. And then the last one was kind of that fantastic quality of life. So again, the focus of the video isn't to have people, you know, we're not trying to get people to move into town. It's not aimed at, you know, the real estate market and getting people to move here, but we want companies to know if their people work here, they might end up wanting to live here because it's a great spot to live. So we need to highlight some of those. So again, we'll probably look for, and I was thinking, you know, we could have the superintendent make a comment about the schools, but we might be better to get a business owner that's in town. You know, again, we look at trying to do as much as we can in a short period, right? We can't have this be a 20-minute video, but we might be able to kill a lot of birds with one stone by having a local business owner. You know, let's say it's Linda, it's a female-owned business, she's a local business owner. She lives here and she started her business here, and she can speak to all of those. So in a very short period of time, you can check off a lot of boxes. Got to get rid of the killing the birds with stones. I'm just going to get rid of that whole line. I got to come up with something better. Not going to, no killing you there, Linda. But those are all things we'll think about. Again, like even getting out on the trails and all. I don't know what we have for good kind of trail shots, but you can do creative, like just get the boots on the ground or sneakers and show somebody's feet kind of walking along the trail. Boom. So it's, even though it's not summertime and green right now, we can still get a lot of those. And those kind of stats about our schools and the town and all of that, which is just kind of listed here. Those are all things I'm going to need to make sure to get whatever the latest stats are. So if we are going to throw some stats into it or throw a graphic up with some stats, we just want to make sure we're working with the latest stats that we'd have. So that I might be reaching out to some of you or other people who'll have those.
So Linda, recreation shots, you might want to peruse and reach out to some of the folks who've been posting in the Westborough photography Facebook group.
Yeah.
There have been some amazing shots from the Charm Bracelet trails and around Lake Chauncey and Sandra Pond.
Yeah, great.
That could be, might be useful.
On the different town statistics, I'm curious whether Jim, you or John or Fred, whether if any of you have access to some of this information, you know, some of the awards that the town has received or some of the statistics that we're looking for. I know, Jim, you've highlighted things in the past on some of the marketing collateral we've done.
Yeah, I have some of these. I think John will have some of these too. Average assessed values, real estate values. John will be a good source for that. The top of this, so I'm looking at number 7, the stats and the awards. Yeah, I mean, we're going to want to mention some of the grants that we've received recently in there too, as kind of kudos to showing that we've been proactive to acquire money for infrastructure, like the Massworks Grant, you know, 1.2 million, et cetera.
Yep.
I hesitate to add anything to such a very long list that you have, since I know you don't have room for everything, but I didn't see, perhaps when Amber Bach is talking about the community's commitment to education, it may make sense to say something about how high we are on the Massachusetts lists for an up-to-date library expansion. What are we, number 4 now? Just a thought.
Like it.
That's a good point too. We need to mention where our schools rank on the state level.
Yeah, I think there was just Boston Magazine just did their annual list.
Yeah,
So
that was high school. Niche does the more Niche
Yep.
and U.S. News and World Report have the most comprehensive lists.
Yeah, I don't like
I know
where-
someone on the school committee. I can ask for those.
There you go.
Good.
Yeah, definitely. And again, we can bring that in a lot of different ways, you know, whether we have the magazines kind of stacked up or we've got like the website with the magazine. So we can kind of like get that feeling while making a statement at the same time, just to bring that in. Oh yeah. Yeah, we definitely will bring that in. And I wrote down library expansion. Also at the end here, I have all the stats and awards. Obviously those stats aren't just going in number 7. That's just kind of the end, that those are some of the things we might want to bring in throughout the video when we're talking about various things. Those are just some of the ones that are right off the website. Do we know when we get the 2020 census info? Do we have any idea when that comes in? No, like 2 years from now? I don't know.
2020 census probably by the very end of this year.
Right, okay. So we got to go back to 2010.
I don't know what COVID has done to that reporting timeline.
Mhm.
Typically, it would be around the end of the year. It
Right.
might be delayed, I don't know.
Yep. So yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We are going to send something to the Lieutenant Governor just to ask her for her comments, like I mentioned, and we will continue at Westborough TV to kind of delve into some of these shots, collect some of these shots, and start to reach out to some of you who we might need some info or data from. And the subcommittee, I think we already made a meeting to meet again to talk about it. So we'll keep making progress. And I appreciate all the input. Again, if you think of anything, feel free to reach out.
Great.
Thank
you, Karen. As you can tell, we're very fortunate to have Karen and her team because she's just done a phenomenal job. So we can't thank you enough.
Great job. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, guys. Happy to do it.
Yep. Great. So I don't think we did set a date for our next subcommittee, but not sure. I may have missed it, but let's see. I don't see Scott yet, but I don't know. Kim, are you available to touch base to update on the grant program and the vacant storefront and the local rapid response grant?
Yes, sorry, I didn't realize my video was off. So the good news is back in December, we presented our application to the EACC to participate in the vacant storefront program. It was approved, which now means if we have businesses that wish to apply for those tax credits, they are able to do so. We have the defined district. Fred and I have had some conversations about how we will start launching this. He had some ideas the other day when we were talking about some businesses that he's aware of that are looking at spaces within that district, as well as businesses that are coming in for the Wednesday, the pre-development meetings, and reaching out to some of the landlords that are in the district where there are vacancies. So we're starting to think about how we do an initial rollout of that. It's really just to make sure that businesses are aware that this exists, and that also, keep in mind it's sort of a two-prong. They need to have a match. And at this point, what we've identified as that match would come through our grant program.
What is the district? How do we define the district?
That was the map we agreed to.
Okay.
John, geographically, he might be able to better describe it.
Yeah, basically is going out East Main Street, essentially to where CVS is, north to Ace Hardware, south on South Street. I think it's just a block and a half or 2 blocks, and then West Main Street, just really to the end of the retail area.
Okay.
And just a reminder, the state limits it they will approve 2 applications from a community per year. So it's not, an unlimited number of grants that would be issued, or credits that would be issued, businesses that would be eligible. The other thing is we did submit an application for the rapid, I'm going to follow up the name, but it's the Rapid Response, the Downtown Initiative.
Yeah.
Yep. And that is a non-competitive grant. So it was pretty much just an application. They had a meeting prior to the deadline, pretty much encouraged every community they have. I believe it was over 9 million in funding to support consultants. So it's technical assistance. We will not get any money out of this, but they will pair us up with one of the consultants to provide technical assistance. Very general application. You didn't have to indicate specifics of what you were looking for. I think as you move through the process, they work with you to identify that. So we have not yet heard the outcome of the application, but again, they stressed it's not a competitive process. So the way I interpreted it, if you submitted an application, you could expect to be participating.
Great. And so at this point on the grant, where are we on our own funding with the, given the billboard funding and the calendar year with our?
So we received, the revenues did come in in December. And as you recall, last year at town meeting, we increased the amount that the committee can award on an annual basis. It is $40,000. Right now we have in excess of that in our account. So the good news is we had talked about at the point at which that happened, it's going to be helpful because we will be able to, if we want to award at multiple points during the year, we basically have the seed money now to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So with $40,000, remember that we also upped the amount of the grant award where it had previously been $5,000. We now will allow for awards up to $10,000 to provide the match for the Vacant Storefront program. So based on that, you could have, if you're awarding higher dollar amounts, you could have fewer. I'm not aware at the moment that we have had any pending applications, but again, as I mentioned, Fred and I have talked about some ways to start promoting this along with the storefront.
Mm-hmm.
So a question about the empty storefront grant. Now that it's been approved and the district has been defined, are the grants applicable to any vacant storefront within the district, or only the storefronts that have been vacant for more than a year?
Yeah. Program criteria are that they have to have been vacant for more than a year.
Okay.
That's the state's program criteria. There's an application for businesses that are interested, and this is one program the state did a really good job of really detailing and laying it out very well what the criteria are to participate. And it's a pretty basic and simple application as well. So hopefully it's not going to be onerous for a small business that is looking to participate.
How do we verify that a storefront's been vacant for a year?
I don't know what the criteria are that we have to submit with the application. I think we have information, and we have both through the assessor's office as well as working through. I'm not sure what it is that we have to produce to verify that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Great. That's helpful. So looks like we're in a good position now to put a plan forward to promote the program and move ahead. Is our 40,000 is per year is January to January, or is it July 1 to June 30th?
Fiscal year.
Fiscal. So we have basically 5.5 months to use, 5.5, 6 months to use 40,000.
Yes, but the money also carries over if you don't use it.
Okay. And the 2 awards per community are, for the state, are per calendar year, or is that also a fiscal year? Or I don't know, not just curious.
I don't know. It may be, I'm not sure if it's tied to your program year, depending on the,
Yep.
when you
Okay.
were awarded the.
Yep. Okay. I know one of the things we talked about was, well, Fred, you've got ideas. I mean, we had been talking about the broker's breakfast, the different things that we've done in the past that would allow us to get the word out. Certainly it's part of the outreach that we want to try to do to get the word out. So, okay, well, great progress on that.
We could even just do somewhat of an email blast to somewhere there's a list of brokers that we put together to market the broker's breakfast. You know, if someone more creative than me put together some sort of email that allowed them to understand that there's a way that they can market spaces utilizing this program, might be a simple way to get something out reasonably quickly.
I can help you with that.
I'll see. I think I have the list. I think I had given it to, I had provided it last time, so I'll pull out the list. You work on the email.
Okay, great.
Okay, I can help with that, because I'm also wondering if it wouldn't be worthwhile to try and get, not just a press release, but maybe a story in the Worcester Business Journal, if not the Boston Business Journal, about the fact that, we, between the Vacant Storefront program and our own EDC grant program, we now have 2 grant programs to help businesses move into or expand in Westborough, and try and get some broader, regional, view. I mean, we just had on West Main Street, there's one of the, art event places that moved here, from Milford. And their marketing is actively touting Westborough as a great place to have moved their business to. And they're talking about the great downtown location and how convenient it is for everyone to get to. So I think if we can maybe do 1 or 2 things, I know this would normally fall to the coordinator, but we haven't hired our new hero yet. So maybe it's something we as a committee could pull together, try and get some broader coverage. And then, that if we can get a published article as opposed to just a press release, obviously we can use reprints and things of that nature in other marketing efforts.
Good idea. So do you want to take the initiative on that, Alan, with John?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. I haven't seen Scott yet, but maybe, I don't know, Jim, whether you really have a planner's report. I know you've been recuperating.
Yeah, planning to rehab my knee. Sure, I've got a couple things I can go through quickly. Probably the most important is the Massworks Grant for the extension of West Park Drive and the work on Flanders Road. As you know, the town received $1.282 million from the Massworks program back in November. We've been working with the Massworks team and staff to get together a contract that the town must enter into with the Commonwealth to oversee the expenditures of funds. Right now, the project is at the definitive subdivision plan review level in front of the planning board. We have our first public hearing on the definitive plan on the 19th. That's 2 Tuesdays from now. And probably sometime, maybe in early March, the definitive plan will be approved. The next step that would happen was the town would create an RFP for the work in Flanders Road. And that involves the widening of Flanders Road, dedicated right-hand turn lane into the new West Park Drive extension so that you can head up towards Research Drive on West Park. Also includes a new traffic signal and the necessary switching mechanism or electronic boxes that are installed on the road. Also includes the multi-purpose bike lane, which is something we're very excited about. If you've been out to West Park Drive recently, you've seen that Caruth has striped all of West Park Drive with a dedicated bike lane. That will continue once the subdivision road is extended to West Park Drive. The bike lane or multimodal trail will leave the road surface. We'll leave the road right away and go cross country, which is actually more desirable, and then rejoin the right of way just before approaching the intersection at Flanders Road. And the new signal will have a pedestrian phase and a bike crossing phase for it. And there'll be a pedestrian crossing on the street and a sidewalk on the opposite side of the street. So that's an exciting project that will make, obviously, the value of properties on West Park Drive more desirable. It'll make it easier for property owners to market their property. As you know, people want to be able to walk and bike from the office, as well as walk and bike commute to work. So that's a very exciting project for us. It's our hope that that will be complete sometime in 2022.
Great. It's fantastic. Thank you, Jim. Let's see. Fred, do you want to give your report?
Sure. And today, actually, I wanted to talk about something kind of not necessarily about a specific building, albeit sort of. One of the things that I'm definitely looking forward to the new coordinator getting involved in some of the outreach comes into a lot of projects that don't come to the committee right away. I call them kind of tire kickers, but we have a few of those out there now. So we have businesses that'll come to us looking to expand or open or do whatever. And sometimes there's not a lot of follow-up. So we'll hear an initial investigation and then we don't hear from them for a while. And I have a couple, Shakur Building is being one, so 254 Turnpike. There's been a couple, 3 projects that have fallen apart out there, but there's another project that's being proposed out there. That I can envision the coordinator actually working with that individual or that company and following up on with them to see if they need anything from the town or they need anything from individuals and departments before it actually comes to tuition and for a permit. So there's a few buildings like that there's a lot of times I can't disclose the projects to the committee because they're not public knowledge yet, but that's where the coordinator, I think, will be a valuable asset to do some outreach in that regard once those projects start to get introduced to us, but are not necessarily in the public purview yet. So I again, the Shakur Building's one. We have somebody looking at 97 Turnpike, which is another one. I don't know if they want them public, so I'm not getting involved with the specific company, but I can see how the coordinator will be involved in that. I'm really excited to have that individual actually not necessarily running the Wednesday meetings, but having them kind of head up and get people towards those meetings so that the companies understand and they get to the staff. We can get the staff and have them start talking to us. But sometimes a lot of the companies looking at us don't know that exists. So that'll be another way for that individual to reach out and get those meetings kind of even more productive than they are now. Mm-hmm. So that's what I wanted to touch on today.
That's a really good point, Fred, because the EDC coordinator is kind of like the salesman for the town. Okay. Their job to follow up with prospective property owners that have vacant buildings or vacant land, and then go out and market those pieces of property, even through Mass Econ's top 100 properties. That person should really be on top of that going forward. So that's a really good point.
Well, thank you, Fred. Those are good points, and we'll hope, I know Kim's optimistic that there's strong interest and that we'll be able to get the Zoom interviews launched in the next week, and hopefully we'll have someone coming on board in the next month or so. So that's exciting, just to leverage everyone's capacity. Alan,
a quick question. Sure. Jim mentioned the Mass Econ Top 100 property. I know last meeting we talked about reaching out to some property owners about the small fee and getting their properties listed. Has anything come of that? Do we know?
I think, Jim, were you and John going to talk about that?
With their window of opportunity closing, what was it, December 15th?
Right.
Something like that. I was out of commission, didn't get to EMC Dell on that. If that opportunity still exists, that's something we could do.
Yeah, I think that I'm active with Mass Econ, and I believe that was a target date to try to initiate some marketing, but I think they're always open to, because they don't have 100 sites on there, so they're always looking to add. So we can definitely do something more there. I
Okay,
think
well, we can
they did
read-
update to remove the Carruth's property that was listed that has since been, completed. But so great. Okay, good.
We'll
Thanks for
reinitiate that
reminding
effort.
us of that, Alan. Yep. Okay. We'll give you a breather on that, Jim. I think you had a lot going on. Yeah. Okay. Alan, do you want to go ahead and update us from where we were our last discussion on the EDC mission and goals?
Sure thing. So if I can, am I allowed to share my screen? I am. Okay, screen 3, here we go. So at our last meeting, I had sent out a survey and got responses, feedback on, activities, priorities, things we thought were working, potential areas of focus. And the call to action was really to start collecting ideas of what we should state as a committee, those 3 to 5 goals we want to achieve over the next, 12 to 15 months, and start brainstorming that. And then we can, as a committee, narrow those down. So with the holidays and everything, I realized the questionnaire just went out less than a week ago. I've started receiving some replies, so I'll share what good feedback I've received so far. And then what I would suggest as a timeline is I'll resend out the link. And if people can continue to add ideas over the next week, week and a half, maybe 2 weeks, I can collate those, synthesize those, and get them out before the next meeting so that we can discuss and vote and set those 3 to 5 goals. So looking at the feedback I've gotten so far, the first thing of note is that half of the comments relate to our downtown area, the downtown historic and downtown business district. And a number of them are up here. I won't go into detail or my opinions plus or minus on these. It's a starting point. I'm not sure how possible all of these are, but ideas about and Kim, this one didn't come from me. A standard TIF or a easy TIF program specifically for restaurants or other retail potentially downtown. I don't know if the state would go for that. It's small in nature, but it is full-time jobs and it is capital improvement to facilities. The Worcester Regional Research Bureau did a study on downtown revitalization. They looked at the Canal District in Worcester and downtown Marlborough. And in both instances, they determined that it was the aggressive marketing and use of liquor licenses to bring in restaurants led the transformation and drew in other businesses, other shops and other boutiques. And they also pointed out in their research that Westborough is sitting on those liquor licenses and is a good candidate for that type of revitalization. So one suggestion was to review that study, maybe bring in a representative from WRRB to talk to us about it and build that into our downtown strategy. A suggestion for a downtown business owner boosters committee or some buy local campaign that focuses on the downtown district. Suggestions to research and develop policies that can foster downtown business development, such as outdoor, valet parking, outdoor dining, pop-up retail, things of that nature. This came out, I'm aware that, the Master Plan Advisory Committee, one of the subgroups, is looking at this. And, the question is, we know from the parking study that we have enough parking places in downtown, but it's not where people want to park given where the available space is. So will people park in Bay State Common and walk to a restaurant on West Main Street? In some communities, if you've got vibrant retail, that's a viable option because people will stop in the shops or window shop on the way. Whereas we don't have a lot of vibrant retail in the downtown area at this point. We've got real estate agents and insurance companies and some limited retail. Our area might be more akin to Shrewsbury Street in Worcester, where you've got a vibrant eatery and restaurant community, but you don't have a lot of street level retail. at this point in time, where valet parking then gets people to the restaurants, gets their cars out of the way, things of that nature. The town doesn't have a bylaw or regulations on valet parking, so who knows if that's even possible or would default to state law, I'm not sure, but those types of ideas. And then a Bay State Commons and downtown redevelopment and linkage program, really geared at removing obstacles to bringing more mixed use residential and ground floor retail to downtown, including some potential land acquisition was part of this suggestion to create walkways and pathways. I think that my view on this is that the number of suggestions about downtown and the varied suggestions might end up relating to a goal that one of our goals be to come up with, in line with, what's coming out of the master planning process, a strategy and a list of projects specific to downtown revitalization. The other comments that came in, I just classified them in general right now as I get more input into, and brainstorm of ideas. This will expand and it may, whittle down into other major goals or other minor goals, but re-engaging the ambassador outreach program. And I think there needs to be a discussion of what that means, and that, reaching out to businesses for the sake of reaching out to businesses may not be a productive use of our time, particularly for volunteers, as opposed to if we have a purpose for calling the businesses because of a specific program or initiative or opportunity, we might be better served and get more response. Definitely a need to promote the one-stop shop. As we heard earlier, to make businesses aware and real estate agents and landowners and landlords aware of the program, so that people come in during the planning phase, in the exploration phase, to know what can be done. And that can save them money and time, as well as reinforce how great of a place this is to do business. Establish and build relationships with a consortium of local banks to provide a loan program for the downtown area. My understanding is this would be a marketing program for the banks as opposed to a legally structured program, where we could promote that we've got banks who are interested in supporting business development, and is a way of, again, encouraging it. There's some other loan programs available now that we might be able to participate in at the state level as well. I'll get to that in a moment. And then we had two different ideas with respect to outreach of communications. One was a quarterly newsletter to businesses and residents about economic development going on. Another would be sort of like make me a member type thing. We have a newsletter, but also the ability to send out updates that are a little more timely than maybe than a quarterly newsletter with opportunities. And an example, actually, I'll jump ahead, will come to some of the opportunities. Late in the last hours of the legislative session, there was a pretty significant economic recovery bill passed and signed by the government, hundreds of millions of dollars. Parts of that include, for example, grants to provide the construction of electronic vehicle charging stations. And those can be on public land, on private land, so long as it's publicly accessible for parking, and with preference to any sort of public or private joint effort. So, if Roach Brothers wanted to put charging stations in the lot, and the landlord at Bay State Commons says okay, they're qualified. If the EDC stepped in with a letter of support, they have a higher chance of getting the money. So there's some opportunities there with that funding. Another opportunity in those recovery funds from the state is there's now funding available to provide to economic development committees, specifically to offer loans and grants to small businesses. Not enough information has been published yet with the legislation signed less than 48 hours ago, as far as what that means and what the process is. But it could be an opportunity to dramatically expand our grant program for a year, or even do something specific to high cost items such as grease traps, if we're looking to attract restaurants and create vibrancy to the downtown. Some other opportunities the state has grant funding to cover the build out costs for co-working spaces and business incubators. I'll talk about what's happening in some other towns where this has been an effective mechanism of drawing businesses in. I've been contacted by a couple of different organizations who are interested in looking at co-working, and they were more wondering if I knew someone who could operate. They were looking for an operator. They believe they had the real estate lined up or were looking at spaces, but they were looking to contract to an operator to run the day-to-day operations. So the funding from the state is grant funding. It can go to a public entity or a private entity. The preference is a public-private partnership. So if the town is involved in some way, it doesn't have to be a town facility even. It can be town-sponsored, but the entity itself is actually private and operating privately. There's some preference there in the grant making and things of that nature. Other opportunities that that have sort of coming through the comments and that I believe we have is the VIA transit service. And this really, sparked my interest. So my wife had to drop her car off at the mechanic and not the dealership, but one of our local repair shops in town. Neither my daughter or I were available to give her a ride home, so she used the VIA service. The owner of the repair shop was so impressed with it that he asked us about the service because, in his view, the dealerships have the courtesy vans that'll get people to the T-stop or to their office or in town or back home. As a local repair shop, it's hard to compete. They often end up driving the customer home in their own car and driving back, which takes them out of the shop for 45 minutes and they lose that revenue, that hourly, the hourly fee. They're getting less work done. So they're already talking to VIA about providing free rides where they, as the auto shop, will spend $1 or $2 to give their customers a courtesy shuttle ride using VIA. So having VIA and making not only for employee access from the train station to office parks and healthcare facilities, et cetera, but customer access to your business is something that I think we can promote and do it as well. And I'll come back to the last opportunity in a second because I want to sort of talk about some research in the competitive landscape. It was announced, Carolyn Dykma, I believe, on her Facebook page announced the other day that one of the last minute local legislative actions, we had a couple last minute for Westborough, one involving the Green Thumb property on Route 9 that were approved by the legislature and signed by the government. The Holliston Economic Development Committee, through an article on their in-town meeting last year, created an EDC fund to provide grants and loans to small businesses. I'm reaching out to get more details on it, but my understanding is that they were going to apply for federal and state grants as their source of funds that they would then grant or loan out. But it appears that the general COVID relief package that was passed in the business development component, the state could end up providing funds specifically earmarked to be provided to local businesses as loans through that. And so I think that's competitively, that's something creative that I know we have an EDC fund that's funded by the billboards. So I don't know if it's the same thing or something different, or we would need a different structure, but it's something we may want to consider as, again, a way to say, hey, look, you want to invest in our community, we've got grants or we've got loans to help you do that, accelerate the process, lower your risk, and bring you in. With the mention of having sort of a downtown booster group, Northborough actually has a very effective buy local business group. It started as a franchise of a national buy local organization, and they've since gone independent. It might be worthwhile at a future meeting to invite one of their leadership members in to talk about how they set it up and the types of things they do. But they've definitely are seeing a positive impact. And then again, I get peppered from residents all the time, which is like, why can't our downtown be as vibrant as Hudson's downtown appears to be? And there's an impression that it really all results from the fact that they have, and they certainly have built a vibrant restaurant and scene that has now attracted boutique shops and things of that nature. But digging a little deeper, there are a lot of pieces to that puzzle. If you've never seen it, I suggest going to discoverhudson.org. It is a downtown Hudson, Mass improvement district that they've created. There are several dozen businesses that are members. They promote businesses in the downtown. I'm not sure of the relationship to the town of the organization, but their site has everything from available office space and retail space to a list of arts and other types of festivals and activities that they sponsor to help draw people into the downtown and bring people into the storefronts. Separately, Hudson's part of the Assabet Valley Chamber of Commerce, which is a large regional chamber. But there is a Hudson Business Association that's separate from that chamber that looks and feels like a chamber, but is really specific to Hudson. And again, promoting available space, networking, and support. Hudson actively has pursued co-working sites to attract both small businesses and remote office workers in and near downtown. They have an artist loft that has a small but growing artist community that's attracting cultural events and creating a destination for people, particularly evenings and weekends, to go into that area. And I haven't gotten all the details on it, but in one of the old mill buildings, Hudson has a pop-up space. So it's a space where new retailers can set up pop-up shops, 100 to 200 square foot, try out, get themselves running. I believe they've had 10 or 12 tenants in that pop-up space, and 3 have now moved into lease spaces along their main street and moved into more permanent locations. So some other creative and competitive ideas to think about. And then the other opportunity I think we have, and this is timely, and I think it goes back to building awareness in the business community and the commercial real estate community that they should always be thinking of Westborough as a place for a new business or as a place to grow. When we think about restaurants and retail, we've recently had 2 businesses open in the middle of a pandemic, a bakery and a Thai restaurant, both of whom appear to be doing well and are happy that they've opened in our community. So again, maybe seeding a story idea to the Worcester Business Journal, about, even in a pandemic, Westborough is a great place to open shop. Because if you can do it in a pandemic, you can do it anytime. And then again, about the one-stop shop, I think we have a good story there. And Jim and Fred can correct me if I'm wrong, but my impression is that when Atlantic Management brought the Amazon project to the one-stop shop, part of their motivation was to understand what they could do without having to go to a special permit and to work within the site plan review process, that it guided their design and decisions they made about what and how they would build. And in doing so, I would expect that, avoiding a special permit and the public hearings and the months and the additional engineering and architectural, et cetera, work that it probably saved, it certainly saved them months of time and probably hundreds of thousands of dollars on that project. And so if we could get a case study, even if it's anonymous, and we just say, robotics research campus, something generic like that, it might be good to put together and say, look, here is a simple service available to anyone that, not only will welcome you and put you in contact with all the departments, but help you in the early planning phases so that you avoid running into issues that could cost you money and delay. And so I'll open up for discussion. I think I'd love to hear more ideas. I know there are more out there among this group. And so again, my proposal would be, another week and a half or 2 weeks, think about it, submit ideas. And then I'll coalesce them down into a list, send that out, and we can discuss and prioritize and pick 2, it doesn't even have to be 5, 2 or 3 that we think are worthwhile to tackle for the upcoming year.
I have some initial reactions there, Alan. Nice job. Some great ideas. great list of possibilities. I want to comment on the Hudson Downtown Business District. They are really a great example. Hudson has done a great job of incorporating the trail, the former rail line trail. They even have, as you probably know, a pizza house and a brew pub that bears the name of the trail right along the trail. So if you're on a Sunday afternoon, you've been biking all day and you want to stop and have a pizza and beer, you can do that. Get back on your bike might be interesting, but it makes the town of Hudson really kind of a multi-dimensional downtown. The business improvement district that you mentioned there, they call it the Hudson something or other, but business improvement district is what it is. It's a bid. That's not a new idea, but a bid is where the business owners within a defined district, like they have in Hudson, get together and they decide that they're going to pool their money, pool their resources, and I don't know what the amount of money would be, to make the neighborhood, the business neighborhood, more attractive and to fund their own events. So a bid is something that prior to us starting the EDC, I discussed with several of the owners of businesses in the Rotary, and none of them wanted to participate by giving their own money. That doesn't mean that it's not a great idea. I think what needs to happen is Hudson should come to Westborough and tell us what the process was they went through to help their businesses become friendly to the idea of a bid business improvement district, and to see the benefits, because they really have benefited. They use vacant space for pop-up spaces that you talked about. The businesses work with each other. It's actually caused the redesign of some of the circulation of local streets in the downtown, which has been very beneficial to them. I actually think that spurred additional economic development. So it would be nice to hear from their economic development staff, because they have a planning department with several staff, and they also have an economic development staff. It would be nice to hear from them about what they did. But I think that's a great example.
Right.
I'm glad
I mean, even something simple, their discoverhudson.org site has a page dedicated to parking, where they have a color-coded map of all of the available parking in the downtown area, and whether it's 15, 30-minute, 2 hours, or unregulated. It looks like they've gotten a Vidya Bank to open their lot after 6 p.m. for public parking, right, to foster it. So I think I think maybe we do want, if bringing them in to get a sense of how they spurred this. I don't know if this was spurred on by the planning department, the economic development folks in Hudson, or the business owners themselves, but to understand how they did that and how we might be able to get businesses and landlords on board would be great.
Jim, do you have current contacts in Hudson? I don't know of the people there right now. Do you have people that you might be?
I know the town planner in Hudson quite well.
Who's that?
Talk to her. Christina Johnson. Would
you want to reach out to her in the next couple of weeks? Sure. And see what her thoughts are, and what she might recommend, who you speak with, and because they've definitely done a great job, and are seeing the benefits. So Alan, thank you very much. This is great information, and a lot to think about, and a lot of new ideas. So really appreciate it. Well, I'm not sure I received your email, but when you send it around again, I'll be sure to keep my eye out. Well, I noticed that Scott Rayleigh joined us, and we were talking about you earlier. I don't know if your ears were ringing, but I was saying that we're all very interested and excited to welcome you to the EDC, and thrilled with your enthusiasm. So I don't know if you want to say hello.
Yeah, I'd love to. And just want to say, I'm Scott Rayleigh, very excited to be here. Very excited. Moved up, and for the people that don't know, in 2018 from Kentucky. Love the town of Westborough. Working with the town, it's been great. We're growing. I don't know if I can say where I work at or not work at. I'm not sure about I can also. So at Innoplast Engineering Films, we are growing. We're adding. So that does tell you that the town is a good place and is welcoming. Being able to interact with the community a lot. And so I think that going forward, and tonight I apologize for being a little bit late, but hopefully I'll have a lot of stuff to offer and to try to help to get other businesses to come. And the reason why we're actually staying and growing. So I'm hoping, to do that and to help attract and to learn a lot of knowledgeable people. Alan, great presentation. I've watched a couple of them on the YouTube already, and I talked with Bonnie a little bit, and just very, very knowledgeable people. So, for the businesses not to want to come to Westborough, I think we just got to pull together, and I'll use the word team a lot in partnership, and just to see what's going on and why, because there's so much opportunity in the town of Westborough for businesses and for people, and there's so many good things to offer. And I think it's just showing those people that type of thing is going to be the key. And like you said, developing a team to work with the new businesses that want to come in, I think is key. So again, I'm very excited. Hope everybody doesn't mind my enthusiasm or my country accent, because I can't get rid of both of those. So again.
Well, thank you, Scott. Maybe we'll take just a minute, because we only have a few minutes left, for everyone to introduce themselves briefly. We had a chance to talk, and now we can see each other, on face to face here. And I would pass off, and we can each pass off to someone else. So I'll pass off to Todd Alexander, who is our new vice chair of the committee. I don't know whether you've met one another yet.
No, we haven't. Welcome aboard, Scott. Great to have you. As Bonnie mentioned, I'm Todd Alexander. I'm a commercial real estate broker and own some properties here in town as well. I grew up in Westborough, went to Westborough High, married a woman from Westborough, moved away for about 10 years, and I guess 11 years ago, moved back into town. And I'm very happy to be involved with the Economic Development Committee, and look forward to working with you.
Scott mentioned that he's been involved in their company has sponsored some of the sports teams, and I imagine rec basketball, and I know, Todd, you may have benefited from that with your boys.
Yep, got 3 boys, 2 in high school at Westborough High now, 1 who graduated a couple of years ago. So all involved in the town. It's great. So I'll pass it off to Alan.
Okay, so Alan Edinburgh, Scott and I met and spoke with his presence at the Board of Selectmen's meeting for his appointment to this committee. Professionally, I own and operate a cloud computing firm. We sell those services to small and mid-sized businesses across the US and Canada here. I've lived in Westborough since 2002. I've got a senior in high school and an 8th grader who last year as a 7th grader was the first in our group to notice that every single one of the middle school rec basketball teams was sponsored by Innoplast. And it actually became a running joke. It's like, ooh, our team's Innoplast. Who are we playing today? Innoplast. Is it blue or white or red? It was awesome. So thank you for that. Definitely benefit from that. And so welcome aboard. And I'll hand it off to Pete.
So Scott, welcome aboard. I am actually a non-voting member of this committee. I'm what they call an ambassador. I am retired, and I probably live about a half a mile from Innoplast, so welcome neighbor. When I was working back in the day, I was a marketing and business development executive, first in office products and then in pharmaceuticals. For the last 17 years, my major volunteer activity has been with the organization, the national organization called SCORE, which basically gives free advice to small businesses. And I find it a great way to give back. So that's my background, and I will turn it over to Derek Sari.
think you're on mute, Derek. On the bottom. On the left, maybe?
While Derek finds his mute button, why don't I turn it over to John Steinberg instead?
Sure. So my name's John Steinberg. I'm the chief assessor in town. We have a puppy. This is him. He's being difficult. So excuse me. But I live in Marlborough, grew up in Natick. I'm in the area, got 2 kids, 13 and 15 girls. And I've been in Westborough now, and this is my 9th year. I've been the chief assessor, I think, for 5 now, maybe. I don't know. It all blends together. And yeah, welcome aboard. It's good to have some good new ideas.
Thank you.
I want to pass over to maybe Fred.
So, all right, I'll pass it on to Fred.
Thanks, Scott. Welcome aboard. We've met, Building Commissioner, now Community Development Director. So we've met out on site at Interplast. One thing I will ask you, and you missed this, but the committee through Karen Henderson is actually putting together a video. And one of the things I mentioned is, I don't know if Interplast is willing, but some film of the inside of the new addition, if you will, and the equipment, that would be great as part of the video. So I'd ask you if that's possible.
Okay. Yeah. Yes. I think so. We're willing, and I think that's a great idea. We are actually wanting one day to do community walkthroughs and things like that. So, but yes, of course, that's fine.
All right, I'll see if I can send that information to Karen, and I think I have an email or something from you. If not, I'll reach out to you and I'll get her your contact information.
All right, thanks, sir.
Oh, thank you. I hand it off to who hasn't gone. Christy.
Hi, I'm Christy Williams. I'm the town manager. I apologize for being off screen. I've had a really hard time with my connection during this meeting. We also met through the Board of Selectmen meeting. I've been working for Westborough since 2010, first as the assistant town manager and then appointed as the town manager in 2019. So welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, Scott, Derek, sorry, I lost my screen there. So welcome and thank you for joining. I've been with the town 19 years and currently serving as the assistant DPW director. So if you need anything from us, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
I'll just step in. I'm Jim Robbins, town planner. Welcome aboard, Scott. Glad to have you here. Where are you from in Kentucky?
Lexington, Kentucky, right outside of Lexington, Kentucky.
Beautiful. I've been there. It's a beautiful community. Must have been hard to leave. Lots of horses there. Loved it.
A lot of horses, yes.
A lot of horses there. So I'm the town planner. You and I may have met on your site before. I'm not sure. I've been on your property multiple times over the years, watched the expansions. Very exciting to see what you folks are doing there. I've been the town planner for 27 years and have seen a lot of change in the community. Right now, we're involved in the update of our town master plan. If you're interested in that, let me know. Please feel free, and I would encourage you to attend our upcoming public hearing in February. We will announce that. I may have an opportunity to announce that at the next EDC before that public meeting, but we always encourage our local businesses to have input to the town's master plan and to the planning process. So glad to have you aboard.
Thank you.
Kristen?
Linda, did you want to go first? Okay. Hi, I'm Kristen. I'm the admin in the planning department. I work with Jim, and I'm also taking minutes at the EDC meetings. And I'm from Ohio originally, so not quite Kentucky area, but a little bit. Nice to meet you.
Hey, Scott, I'm Linda Townsend. Welcome to the board. I have been a resident in Westborough for about 16 years. I have a wellness center on Route 9 called Release Wellbeing Center that we opened about 4 years ago. And very excited to have you join us.
Thank you.
My husband's really involved in rec basketball too. Maybe you've met him, Mike Townsend.
I may have, yes.
And is that everyone? Have you met Kim, I imagine? I think you and Kim have spoken quite a bit.
Yeah, we spoke on the phone. It's very helpful.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And I will say that it's really a pleasure to work with, the town department heads now under Christie's and Kim's leadership, where it's really enjoyable. And there's a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of, real focus, and it's a talented group. So, and we're fortunate to have the volunteers that we have on the committee. So we really appreciate you joining us. So I think we're about to wrap up. We have our next meeting would be the first Thursday of the month, which is February. I haven't even looked at the calendar, but can someone throw that date out?
The first Thursday is February 4th.
February 4th. Okay, very good. So February 4th at 3:30 will be our next meeting. What will happen between now and then is Kristen will send out the minutes from this meeting and to be reviewed. And then in advance, we'll send out the agenda for the next meeting and various initiatives that we talked about today. There'll be further subcommittee meetings or distribution. For one example is what Alan was discussing with all of the new initiatives. So hopefully we can continue to make progress. Kim?
I was just going to ask, Scott, is that date problematic for you? You had mentioned.
Yeah, let me check really quick. I can look at the schedule. Usually the first Thursday of every month is our profit and loss for our company, and I have to do a brief presentation and then to the owner of the company, and you. So February the 4th. Right now it doesn't look like it. No, it does not look like it. And I apologize for being late today. Today was our budget meeting and our profit and loss meeting. So it's usually not as long, but I had to do a little bit longer presentation today. So I apologize.
All right. Well, we're certainly flexible, and we'll try to work around if we need to change the date. We had for years met on the first Tuesday at 8 a.m. when we were meeting in person, and this afternoon is more, I find it more convenient, a little more flexible, but we are open to making changes as we need to. So great. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great month. We look forward to reconnecting on February 4th. Take care.
You just need a motion to adjourn. We need a motion.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Yep.
Edinburgh, yes.
Leonardo, yeah.
Robbins, yes.
Sullivan, yes.
Williams, yes.
Alexander, yes.
Townsend, yes.
Eric, yes.
Braley, yes.
Very good. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Nice meeting you.